Going on, everybody? I just wanted to be able to thank y'all for being able to watch all the videos and the content that I've been pushing out. I know that it hasn't been every other day, right? But I'm happy that I'm at least being able to get some of this out. So today we're going to be talking with Dr. Shaw in person, and we also have an additional separate guest in a part 2 video that's coming up. So hope you guys enjoyed today's content. Hope you guys are doing well. And don't forget to go follow TexasTHCdoctor.com. Peace.
Let me see what this has in it.
A lot of nasty stuff, man. A lot of nasty stuff. As clean as I've been trying to keep it, a lot of nasty stuff.
Yeah, just looking for the B12. What kind of B12 it has in it?
Oh, yeah.
Does it say it in there?
I know it had. I think it's supposed to have some B12 in it, but I don't know how much.
No, they actually don't talk about it too much. That's good, actually, because the type of B12, one of it has cyanide in it. Cyanocolumn.
Okay.
So that versus methylcolumn, that's the good stuff. But the cyano, the FDA allows for you to have a certain amount of cyanide legally in foods. So some of these drinks, and I threw away my pre-workout because my pre-workout had all like I think
really?
Like 200 or 300% more than is that you really need.
Really?
Yeah, and it's scary that we're just putting cyanide in our bodies.
I gotta look into it. That's gonna be in the ingredients?
That's in the ingredients. So it'll say B12, but it'll say what B12 is.
Oh, okay.
Like cyanocolumn. It can be B12 in multiple ways.
Okay.
You can methylate it and call it methyl, and or you can use cyano to combine it, which is really bad that they use that to make it.
Huh. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Del's Den. We are here in person with my doctor, the individual who originally got me approved for medicinal THC here in Texas. I walked in and he was already, there's a significant difference from when...
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that gives me a lot of confidence, in this type of moment and thinking about it now. And I'm very proud of where I've been able to become today, not with just what I've been taking, but the therapy and being patient. It helps me with my ADHD. It helps me with a lot of topics, and we'll definitely touch base on those. But let's introduce yourself. It's been 2 years, man.
My name is Dr. Zulfikar Shah. I'm an internal medicine board certified physician. I'm also a functional doctor, and I also am one of the first doctors to get approved to become able to join Compassionate Use Registry in Texas to prescribe medical marijuana.
Good stuff. Now, again, 2 years ago, or not 2 years ago, but back in 2020 is when it first got approved. And I think around that time is where we started talking and getting into what I needed to do and be able to get approved for THC. But I kind of wanted to touch base because since we last talked, actually, since that last interview, there's been a lot of questions about individuals switching over, like older individuals, my family, friends, all types of people, and some of them are just concerned. They're concerned about how they feel on it. They're concerned, is it gonna be addictive? Are they gonna be coherent? Like, can you talk about like the effects
of medicinal THC on the elderly?
Yeah.
And it changes. That's a great question, by the way. It differs for every person. Is it for everybody? No, it's not for everybody. It's for people that have a beneficial response from it. And that beneficial response could just be alleviating pain. All right. And if someone elderly, for example, has a lot of pain, they react different. They have different personalities. But if you take care of the pain, they are, a lot better people and nicer people too, right?
Yeah.
So there's positives from it, but can it alter your mentation, the way you think? That's probably the question which you're probably getting at. It can if the dose is on the higher end, but in general, if it's a low dose and it's a mixed blend, that's my experience from it. That's not for everybody. With patients, that is, that it seems to have a more level effect on them without affecting the way they think. They don't feel drunk per se. That's what you're trying to say. They don't feel drunk or way buzzed out. More like just relaxed and still fully cognizant.
Right.
And I think there was a study done recently, maybe a couple of years ago, which showed that even people that are on marijuana, it does not affect their driving.
Right.
You know, so if anything, it might slow your driving down. but it
Make you
doesn't
beware.
beware.
Spider vision.
You might be driving too slow, if anything, but it didn't affect driving, so it is very safe. Now, I mean, anything can be abused.
Oh yeah, for sure. I know if we end up taking too much, or there's times where my anxiety was severely high at certain points throughout the year, so I increased it just a little bit. And when I would do that, yeah, the intensity would be a little bit more up there. But as far as like my communication, if I was cognitive, it was all completely fine. There was no issues. It's just more, yeah, it's scary the first time, I would say, because you're like, am I supposed to feel this way? But if you just kind of lean into it just a little bit, you'll actually enjoy yourself a lot.
And again, these are medicinal doses. These aren't, you know, higher doses. They're effective for what they do. They can help with pain. They can help with anxiety. They can help with appetite. You know, they're not at the same doses that most people are thinking of if you're reaching some sort of psychedelic state.
Right. I think a lot of the concept on top of all around THC, on top of all that, is based upon more of the people who smoke it compared to the people who are actually ingesting it, and that's a different sense in my opinion and in my experience, because if I remembered my past, smoking it gave me more of a head high. It would bring it down in a matter of minutes, compared to ingesting it like I'm getting from Good Blend. I have a body high. Yeah, I kind of have it up here, but it's not as severe, and it definitely, I feel it all in my body.
Correct.
I mean,
that's the general consensus what people ask for, and 99% of people that are on this is, you know, for that reason. It's to improve their quality of life.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's to get their quality of life to somewhere where they can then participate in things on their own, to improve it even further. I always tell them it's not a cure-all. It's something to improve your quality of life so that you can partake in other things that can improve it even further. And that can be meditation, it can be religion, it can be physical therapy, cognitive therapy, whatever that is.
Okay. But what are other qualifications to be able to get approved for THC?
Oh, there's quite a bit. I mean, so the history is that originally it started in 2015. It got approved for kids with seizures. I think Lennox-Gastaut syndrome. And that proved to be very beneficial for those kids. You know, some of them getting, you know, several dozen seizures a day now without any improvement with the traditional anti-seizure meds, but then the THC CBD combo helped. Right. That was awesome, and that opened the doors, I think. Then about, I think, 2019, they passed a bill for about 150 different medical diagnoses. So Parkinson's, ALS, autism, adult seizures, certain cancers at that point, musculoskeletal issues, regardless of what you can do, they still cause spasticity, muscle spasms. And that's a huge population of people. And then I think 3 years ago, September of 21, they passed a bill for PTSD. And any history of any type of cancer also approves.
Oh, wow.
So that was great for people, because there's also some, you know, physical changes you have, or mental changes just from having cancer. Right. You know, so that covered a huge spectrum.
Right. And now, since now that we have some time to be able to see THC grow here in Texas, what have you been able to see as far as testimonies go from individuals? Like, is there a specific moment where you were like really touched?
Oh, quite a bit of times. I mean, you're an example. I mean, I saw you from the beginning, right? Yeah. That was quite a life change for you.
It was. You know? It was.
And it's awesome. And I'm seeing you in person is even cooler, because I was like, you know what? I've never seen him in person. I keep seeing him in his podcast. I've never seen him in person. You're not that far away.
No, not at all. Not at all. And I was actually talking to her about it, that even if you were at the other location and where you stay at, I was telling her, I was like, we're really not that far. Like, we just got to drive. We just got to get used to getting out and driving again, you know?
No, definitely. Yeah.
And I love meeting people and, you know, face to face on top of all that. And I had noticed, we were just talking about, again, how I usually am in the morning. If I'm not on my medication in the morning, or if I, you know, forget, oh yeah, I did forget to take it today, or not today, but this morning, I have noticed in myself that I'm not really that communicative. I'm kind of a loner. I kind of look unapproachable, but once I feel it kick in, it's night and day difference. I mean, communicative talking, I'm ready, I'm motivated. It's just such a great medication to be on. Now, I know Good Blend, they started rolling out some new products. One of them was the THC balm. Have you seen that one?
I have not.
You have not? Okay. It's almost like a lotion. It's a menthol, and it actually goes on the skin. Now, a lot of people talk about how they're scared to take the balm, put it on themselves, and they don't want to test positive. Now, can they test positive on the THC with the balm?
Yes.
Oh, they can?
I mean, short answer, yes. I
Okay.
mean, regardless, it's getting absorbed, and the stuff they use on the bombs penetrates through the skin really well.
Okay.
And that's its goal, right?
Right,
the goal
right,
is
right.
for the THC to get through. I mean, if it wasn't getting through. So yes, it can test positive with that. But I've heard really great things about it.
Oh, yes.
It's more localized. And now we know there's also peripheral receptors that can be affected. So that's why those roll-on bombs are actually becoming more popular.
Now, I had tennis elbow for like the longest. Have you ever had tennis elbow? It lasts quite a while.
Yeah.
Now, when I used the balm that same day,
Got some really
went away. No,
pretty
it went
amazing.
away. It
Oh, it
just
went away.
Oh, completely. I didn't feel any pain. I can actually get the full movement. It was absolutely crazy. I also wanted to touch base on the amount of people that have been coming to you for THC since the time that it started to now. I know we briefly touched base on it, but how many more people are now coming to you for questions and wanting to know answers and trying to get approved?
All the time, every day. I mean, we're in the thousands with our patients now, so
Jeez.
quite a bit. You know, it's from all walks of life. I worked in a nursing home for a little bit after I got out of the hospitalist career, and then when I was in nursing homes, I was currently a doctor that was able to prescribe the medicinal THC, and I did put a couple of those elderly patients on it, and I did it for patients with cancer. I did it with patients with end-of-life issues on hospice. So improved their quality of life, and it was really hard to even initiate it back then into a state-run institution because they're not really familiar with using the CURT program at that point. But now we have patients at home hospice who are on. I mean, it brings you to tears sometimes how amazing the stories are. Like, hey, I can finally talk to my mom because she's not in pain anymore, and we're not knocking her out with morphine and fentanyl and all the other pain medications that really zonk them out, and they become a shadow of themselves for most of these people. And the same thing goes with PTSD when you're put on multiple medications, the benzos, the barbiturates, the SSRIs. They all affect the brain in some way, and a lot of my patients, their main complaint is, I'm tired of being fogged in with all these medications that really aren't helping anymore or are barely helping. And I feel like there's more to lose than to gain.
Why do you do what you do, man? Like, why are you into medicine?
Long story. That's a long story. Well, I grew up with Indian Pakistani parents. That's pretty much a prerequisite growing up. Hey, you're going to be a lawyer or a doctor or something. But that's my generation. That's how the parents were back then, with kids from my background. And I grew up in New York City. Got into med school. Joined the military. My brother was a West Pointer, so that led me to Texas.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Was in the Air Force for several years, deployed to Iraq twice.
Wow.
Worked in one of the busiest hospitals in the world as a combat hospital. And then great experience, horrible stuff what's happening, but also amazing people you meet, your colleagues, amazing. So experiences that you can't compare, what to do in life. It's amazing. And then I thought I missed the seasons. I went to Colorado. I didn't. Came back to Texas since. So I've been here from 2005 till now, pretty much.
Well, good, man. I mean, thank you for doing what you do. I mean, as always, again, thank you for your service one more time. I know that there's 2 dispensaries here in Texas. I know I always favorite one, but have you been able to see them grow? Have you been talking with them and see how things are changing with them?
I did a couple of times. They've grown quite a bit, and as a company grows, they also become a little less personal as time goes on as well. And plus, there's now hundreds of doctors as opposed to a dozen doctors that were in there. So a lot of it is through their reps. More so. Plus, I won't lie, I'm really busy. So I have very little time to do that, but I did know that they've definitely grown quite a bit. I was excited to think that there was going to be a 3rd dispensary.
Right. That's why I was hearing a little bit about that as well. And it's kind of still up in the air. It's not fully gone away, but there's still talks of it, and I think that would be really interesting if another dispensary opened up.
I think that would.
Somebody has to go and do it. We need it.
I think that would help out the prices quite a bit. Just to be honest, I think that would help out the prices.
Well, and I think that's why I'm pretty open here on my channel, but that's why I kind of favorite Good Blend. When Good Blend first started doing their prices, at first I was like, they're a little bit pricey. But as 2 years went by, and according to what I've heard so far, with all the growth, they were actually knocking down their prices significantly.
And they help out veterans too, as well.
Oh yeah.
So I remember that part. They give a discount for veterans.
I mean, whenever I'm with Good Blend, I definitely feel very loved, very loved, and they've given me a lot of information, and they've been able to help me be a part of their family in some type of way. And I've just been blessed to be able to have that with them. It's been really good. Good Blend, you guys are killing it. You guys are killing it for sure.
Great products.
Amazing products. So there was something that's been kind of floating around. As we all know, TikTok is just like this whole thing that's just, it's either good or it's either bad, depending on what type of information you take in. But there's this syndrome that I had noticed, and I wanted to bring it up to see if it was something maybe you heard about. It's called cannabinoid
hyperemesis.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is it?
It is a thing. It is a thing.
It is a thing.
Yeah. So the one thing that I learned, how I learned this disease more, because they fly by it in med school, they really don't talk about it too much, is I lived in Colorado, remember, right after I left Texas, after I finished my military commitment. I went to Colorado thinking I want to see seasons, right? And over there, they had just legalized medicinal. So I had the experience of experiencing the medicinal portion of marijuana when I first arrived in Colorado. Different than Texas. They had flower, they had a lot more dispensaries available, but that gave me a little bit of understanding.
Okay.
The symptoms. So basically, what happened is when I was in the hospitals there, and I lost track of time, that was me messing up. Forgetting what the question was. I swear I don't smoke. As my eyes went down.
Right.
No, what I wanted to say was that it was admitted in the hospital as patients that would have frequent nauseous vomiting.
Oh wow.
They would be really nauseous. They would vomit all the time. The only thing that would improve their symptoms would be hot showers. So what we started seeing in the hospitals are like these patients just get into the hospital, get admitted for hyperemesis, which is throwing up a lot, and they'd run to the showers. And then they just stay underneath the showers, hot water, and they're like, oh, I feel better, and then they come back out. Again, they would be back in the shower, and that's what they're known for. That symptoms that are associated with this is hot showers feel fantastic. Okay. So it's something that affects the brain that leads to the opposite effect of what it normally does. It's supposed to help with nausea, right? That's why it's given to cancer patients. But in certain instances, if it's smoked too much, it can actually cause the opposite problem.
Now we're talking about, what about ingesting it though? Now, are these cases more along the line with people?
More along with people with, I think, frequent users and higher doses. Okay. It showed up with them. Okay. And the only way to fix it is just to stop for a little bit.
Wow. Okay.
That's it. I mean, and the problem is people that are regular users, they can't stop for a little bit, So that's why they just kept coming in. But if they just stop, let it get out of their system, it goes away. But they wouldn't. They would say, oh, I mean, it's bad, and they smoke more, and now, so it is a thing.
Now, I do want to, again, I'm thinking what the audience would be thinking. It's just, I'm thinking out loud as far as when you state that you can't stop, it's not like they're addicted. It's just, it makes them feel normal.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right.
Exactly.
Right.
It's not necessarily because they're addicted per se. It's just more that, they don't realize the connection between the two. They're like, oh, that's not what's causing this. Something else is going on. And then they keep doing it. Once they realize, oh, man, it is connected. Yeah. They realize it.
Now, getting approved, again, kind of going back, who can be approved?
Who?
Adults, clearly.
Adults, children, too, with the parents' approval. Right. I have a couple of children that I'm also, taking care of for seizure disorders, autism. Very beneficial for the parents. I mean, another success story is where the parents say, wow, they actually can, interact more with their children. They feel like, especially the ones that have severe autism or severe developmental disorders also, where it leads them to be very aggressive. amazing cases where it's improved their lifestyle quite a bit.
Now, clearly, the reason why I would touch base on it is because if anybody can get approved, right, depending on their situation, teenagers. There's a lot of teenagers out there that are constantly going through situations where they have their own PTSD. You know, what would you say to the parents that didn't even think about possibly getting them on to THC?
Oh, I would say, instead of, I'm a parent, so I understand the aspect of, I don't want to tell another person how to parent in any way. So, but I would say that in certain instances and situations, I think it can be very beneficial.
Yeah.
I think you got to take it patient to patient. I think you have to understand that it is very safe. It's been around for thousands of years. That's THC. It's been around for thousands of years. You can't overdose on it. You need 1,000 pounds in 5 minutes. So it's one of the safest, if you're going to say medication, it's one of the safest medications you can take.
Yeah.
So in that sense, as a parent, if it's about safety, it's very safe. Right? Now, is it great for your child? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I mean, I have certain cases where people said it didn't affect, their children at all, and some that it did. So my thing is, it doesn't hurt.
Right.
It doesn't hurt to try. And if you ran out of options, this is an option. And
the reason why that came up to me is because I was scrolling through YouTube the other day and I saw this video of this teenager, preteen, walked into the room. He thought that his mom was having a seizure because the mom has seizures. And as you're listening to their conversation, she's basically stating, "No, I'm okay. But his specific words were, "I thought that you were having another seizure and it just made me feel like," because he witnessed those seizures. So would that be considered like a PTSD moment?
It could be, yeah. So I mean, there's a way for us to kind of not put people in a category of, this is likely PTSD. There's a couple of forms we fill out. We send them out to people when they don't have formal diagnoses.
Right.
But I believe a large part of the population has PTSD. I mean, we can call it anxiety. We can call it depression. We can call it a lot of personality disorders, but it boils down to, hey, there was an event sometime in the past, that was traumatic, either emotional or physical event. That's what leads to them. I mean, it's common, for as physicians not to call something PTSD and just call it anxiety or depression, but if you want to go back to the root of it, that's usually what it is. Not in all cases, but in a lot of cases. Right.
Now, for me, I've discussed it multiple times before. Do you suggest therapy? Well, just in case to kind of also assist?
I always do, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, use it as an adjunct. This is there to improve your quality of life so that you can partake in more things to improve it even further.
Right.
Whether that's physical therapy, whether that's psychological therapy, whether it's meditation, whether that's religion, any of those things I think is beneficial.
Right.
To get the person on a pathway of an improvement.
Giving them those tools to be able to get where they need to be. So I know we touched base on a lot of THC topics. Now, applying for it, they can still go to your website.
Correct.
And get approved. Now, sometimes you're having those sales. I mean, I guess when the next one comes around, I'll definitely be letting everybody know, just like the last time that I ended up doing. I like posting anything that you post because, again, you were able to get me to where I'm at today. And I want to thank you because I don't know how much recognition you give yourself, but I want to let you know that you're very much appreciated in our family and our friends, and you've done a lot for us. Now, you're also doing ketamine.
I am.
Let's talk about that.
So I started researching it several years ago, and I wanted to know as much about it before I partake in it. And I almost everything I do, I like to experience it and understand it as much as possible before I involve myself in it.
Right.
And with ketamine, it was something that I first, took some courses, learned a lot about it, read up on all the research, and then I was like, this stuff really needs to be used. I've gone through some myself, so I know what it feels like.
Right.
And we've been using it for probably almost about 6 months now, and it's really taken off.
Okay.
Ketamine is it's an amazing medication. It's been around for decades as an anesthetic.
Okay.
And the World Health Organization considers it one of those primary medications for pediatric anesthesiology. So it's a very safe medication as well if it's being used for children. But what we notice is it helps with anxiety, it helps with depression,
oh wow,
it helps with PTSD, and in rates and studies that are out currently, and it needs to be studied more, I believe. But the studies that are out with it show that it improves anxiety, it improves depression, and the numbers with addiction, it improves addiction disorders as well, with alcohol and as well as opioids. And it actually shows promise in neuroplasticity, meaning it can help the brain grow. And honestly, when I was in med school, we didn't even know the brain could do that.
Right.
They'd always said if whatever happened to the brain, after a certain age, that's it. It's not going to build anymore, right? Now we're learning, hey, it does. It actually is, there's called it neuroplasticity or neuroregeneration. The brain can grow. So we're learning different medications that can do that. And a lot of the psychedelics do that. The mushrooms do that, we're finding out. And ketamine does that as well. So it's really beneficial in the sense that how it can, improve your quality of life and with anxiety and depression and PTSD. But it almost works like a switch is being turned on in your brain. All right. I can go into how it affects the NMDA receptor, and it blocks that, and it can cause changes in glutamate. But it really, we really don't know how it works and why. Because of that, it can increase your excitatory dopamine and maybe switch off one part of your brain and turn on another part of your brain. But it also helps it grow. That's the cool part. Right. So I think they're looking into, hey, can it be useful for dementia patients?
That would be amazing. Yeah.
Before we were like, no, once you got dementia, that's it. You're screwed. Just instead of making the curve of getting bad this way, we're like, oh, maybe we can slow it. Now we're like, hey, maybe we can improve it. We're learning a lot about dementia in that sense.
Wow, man. Wow. And with you doing ketamine now, again, kind of going back to those testimonies, what type of progress or how many people were coming to you about ketamine and understanding? Because I don't know nothing about ketamine, right? I've never tried it. I never thought about it. Honestly, I don't think I've ever heard about it until you started promoting it. Who can get approved?
It's similar to the intake process for THC.
Okay.
But we can do a lot of things online. And then eventually what we can do is after we get your paper, we get your medical information, we find out if you're a candidate, and if you are, we just call you up and ask you to come in, and we can schedule it same day. So it's basically just getting your medical information, making sure you're a client that doesn't have anything that puts us not able to give it to you for any reason, and that's rare. Because it's a very safe medication overall, but we want it to be a very relaxed experience.
Okay.
And at the same time, Carly came in.
Carly, hello. Yeah, we could definitely want to talk more about the ketamine. But before we do that, clearly you're doing these two types of, helping these people in so many different types of ways. Where can they go and find you?
So on TexasTHCdoctor.com and then on BrainRestoreTX.com.
BrainRestoreTX.com. And you're virtual, so technically you can help anybody out in Texas in general.
I can with the THC.
Right.
But with the Brain Restore and the ketamine, you will have to visit San Antonio.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. Okay. Well, Carly, you ready?
Yeah.